The gavel hung suspended for what felt like an eternity, the judge's hand steady as the courtroom held its breath. Then it came down, sharp, final, echoing like a crack through 30 years of carefully laid foundation. In that single second, everything Victor Reed had built on lies shattered. I watched his face contort from smug confidence to raw panic as the forged codicil was declared fraudulent. My mother, Elizabeth Whitaker, sat trembling on the stand, her voice finally breaking free after months of silence. "He moved my husband's hand," she whispered. Then louder. "Victor used Thomas like a puppet while he was dying." The room erupted. Whispers turned to gasps. Reporters scrambled. But for me, Sophia Whitaker, it wasn't just victory. It was the moment my father's voice returned from the grave to protect what he loved most. To understand how we reached that courtroom in Portland, Oregon, you have to go back to the beginning, when grief still felt like a heavy fog that refused to lift. My father, Thomas Whitaker, was 61 when the heart attack hit. One ordinary Tuesday, he was in his workshop at Willowbrook Manor, reviewing blueprints for another historic restoration project. The next, the house he had poured his soul into stood silent. Thomas wasn't just a contractor, he was a preservationist who breathed life back into Portland's forgotten Victorian gems. Willowbrook Manor, built in 1893, had been a wreck when he bought it at auction in the late 80s. Neighbors called him crazy for sinking every penny into its crumbling turrets and sagging porches. But Thomas saw beauty where others saw decay. Over 15 relentless years, he restored every inch, hand-carved crown moldings sourced from salvage yards, original heart pine floors refinished by hand, even the clawfoot tub rescued from a demolition site across town. I grew up in that house, tools in my small hands before I could ride a bike. Weekends meant holding flashlights while Dad explained wood grain, mortise and tenon joints, why you never replace when you can honor the original. Anyone can bulldoze and slap up something new. Soft, he'd say, wiping sawdust from his brow. It takes heart to restore what time tried to erase. Those lessons stuck. By 35, I was a senior historic preservation architect at a firm downtown, but my real classroom had always been Willowbrook's basement workshop, smelling of cedar, linseed oil, and possibility. When Dad died, the funeral drew hundreds, former clients, Preservation Society members, even the mayor praising how Thomas had safeguarded Portland's architectural soul. My mother, Elizabeth, his high school sweetheart of 38 years, looked lost without him. The big house echoed with absence. I visited every weekend, fixing small things, following the meticulous maintenance logs Dad left in leather journals. Historic homes demand love, neglect them, and they whisper their complaints through creaking boards and settling foundations. 3 months after the funeral, Mom joined a grief support group at the community center. I encouraged it, anything to ease that hollow ache in her eyes. She started mentioning Marcus Reed, 56, silver-haired, soft-spoken accountant who had lost his wife to illness 2 years earlier. He seemed respectful at first. When Mom invited him for dinner, he asked thoughtful questions about Dad's work, admired family photos without trying to insert himself. "Your mother deserves joy again," he told me privately in the workshop, careful not to touch Dad's tools. I wanted to trust him. Grief makes us all a little blind. 6 months after Dad passed, Mom called with news that stole my breath. Marcus was moving into Willowbrook Manor. "It's too big for me alone," she said, voice already defensive. His lease ended, and his kids need stability. Marcus had 2 adult children, Dylan, 31, drifting between jobs, and Sophia, no, wait. His daughter was named Brooke, 28, an influencer chasing likes. Suddenly, our family home became backdrop for their new chapter. I drove over immediately. Moving trucks filled the driveway. Marcus greeted me warmly, but his smile carried ownership now. We sat in Dad's study, Marcus behind the desk that made my skin crawl, as he explained how this was best for everyone. How the house needed life again. How his presence would preserve property value. Corporate jargon masked what felt like invasion. Dylan arrived hauling gym equipment, eyeing the basement workshop. Sweet man cave potential down there. Brooke complained about the old house smell and suggested painting over the William Morris wallpaper in the parlor for a clean minimalist vibe, perfect for her videos. Mom stood beside Marcus. Smaller somehow. Like she was fading. I looked to her for defense. But she murmured. Change can be healing. Over the following weeks the erosion began subtly. Dad's vintage percolator replaced by a sleek machine. His hand-carved coat rack vanished for cheap chrome hooks. Motivational posters covered spots where Dad's preservation awards once hung. I tried reasoning with Mom alone. But Marcus hovered, inserting himself whenever I mentioned the will. Dad had left Willowbrook to me explicitly, with lifetime residency rights for Mom. Marcus's kind eyes sharpened. Interesting reading of the document. No decent man leaves his wife vulnerable. Tension thickened. Then came the contractors. I arrived one Saturday to find them dismantling Dad's custom dovetail-jointed cabinets in the living room, 3 months of his painstaking work yanked like trash. Stop, I yelled. Marcus sighed condescendingly. Outdated. Sophia. We're modernizing for the living, not preserving a museum. Downstairs. Dylan had already shoved Dad's workbench aside, boxing antique tools carelessly. Brooke live-streamed, painting over 1890s wallpaper. Panic rose as I searched for Dad's restoration journals, those irreplaceable records of every decision, every historical discovery. Toss some old notebooks, Dylan shrugged while curling weights. That night I called Dad's longtime lawyer, Harold Kensington. The will was ironclad, he assured. House to me? Substantial changes required my approval. A cease and desist notice went out. Marcus's mask slipped. His call came cold. You're ruining your mother's happiness. Wills can be contested, new evidence surfaces. Grieving widows remember signing things. The threat landed like ice. Walking through the house days later revealed escalating destruction. Track lighting instead of restored fixtures. Gray laminate over refinished floors. Dad's drawings and awards replaced by Marcus's diplomas and the kids' trophies. They weren't updating. They were erasing Thomas Whitaker entirely. The lies spread like dry rot. At the neighborhood association meeting, Marcus stood with practiced sincerity. Elizabeth and I are honoring Thomas by updating Willowbrook, making it a home he'd approve of. Neighbors who once praised Dad now eyed me suspiciously after Marcus's version took root. He claimed Dad had discussed modernization plans with him, entrusted the estate. At the Rotary Club, where Dad had been a fixture for decades, Marcus donated in his name, funds suspiciously from sold tools, and positioned himself as the savior helping a grieving widow. The narrative twisted. I became the ungrateful daughter fighting to evict her mother over property greed. Family called confused. Aunt Claire said Marcus showed paperwork at a reunion proving Dad added a codicil giving Mom full control, including designating succession to her new spouse. My blood chilled. Dad had been hospitalized, morphine heavy, barely conscious that week. Grocery store glances turned cold. A cousin's social media post accused children who prioritize bricks over parents' happiness. Isolation crept in. Then Harold forwarded the scanned codicil, dated one day before Dad's death. Signature shaky, but resembling his. It left the house entirely to Mom with power to pass to Marcus. It's forged, I told Harold in his office. Dad couldn't hold a pen. Hospital records, nurse notes, my daily presence, all confirmed incapacity. Handwriting expert needed. Expensive, but necessary. Marcus called from Dad's study line, a deliberate cruelty. Questioning the codicil must hurt. Realizing your father changed his mind about you. We both knew it was fake. He claimed Mom would testify she witnessed the signing. Drop this and you can keep some personal items. Push and you lose everything. Community already sees you as heartless. That evening I sat surrounded by old photos, Dad and me planing wood, laughing over late-night design talks. His pride wasn't just in the house but in passing knowledge, integrity, values. Marcus thought lies and forgery could erase that. Harold's office felt unchanged, same oak desk, same photo of him and Dad at a fundraiser. But Harold looked energized, pulling out a banker's box labeled in Dad's handwriting, estate protection. 2 years earlier, Dad had anticipated vulnerability. A detailed letter restated intentions. Willowbrook to me alone for preservation. Mom lifetime residency only. Photos. Receipts. Historical Society correspondence. USB with video statement. Dad appeared healthy on screen. Dated 2 years prior. If you're watching this, something's happened and someone's questioning my wishes. Ridgewood. Willowbrook goes to my daughter Sophia. She understands its soul. Elizabeth. Live there as long as you want, but it belongs to our girl. He demonstrated normal signature. Warned against forgeries. More followed. Emails expressing concern about Mom's trusting nature. Affidavit from Dad's doctor confirming incapacity during final days. Pre-commissioned forensic signature samples. Sealed letter for me. Dad wrote, "If someone challenges the will, don't let them. The house is our story in wood and stone. Under the third squeaky floorboard in the workshop north wall, you'll find duplicates. I hid them because only you truly know that space. Fight. Sweetheart. I'm counting on you." We needed those documents. Marcus had turned the workshop into Dylan's gym. I enlisted Mike, Dad's longtime crew foreman. "Say no more," Mike said. "The guys have been waiting to help protect what Thomas built." Late one night we slipped in quietly. The floorboard lifted. Copies. Letters. Notes. Everything intact despite gym clutter. Evidence mounted. Marcus escalated. Sending the fake codicil to clients. Historical Society. Local paper. Story became, respected contractor leaves home to beloved wife. Daughter contests dying wishes. Mom called sobbing. "Victor, Marcus says you're destroying our family." Never accepted him. When pressed, she whispered, "I know it's fake, but he's always watching." Easier to agree. Then Marcus answered her phone. "She's resting. Your stress isn't good for her." Court day arrived at Multnomah County Courthouse. I walked in with Harold, Mike, and Dad's crew carrying evidence boxes. Victor, Marcus, sat confidently beside his estate lawyer Brennan. Mom looked frail behind him. Judge Patricia Chin called order. Brennan opened smoothly. Simple matter. Witnessed codicil securing wife's future. Greedy daughter refuses father's final wishes. He presented the forgery reverently. Marcus nodded solemnly. Sympathetic murmurs rippled. Harold countered methodically. Original will uncontested until now. Dad's protective letter. Video playing Dad's clear voice filling the room. Brennan objected, possibly coerced. Harold presented doctor's affidavit, incapable of signing. Called Mom to testify. Marcus touched her shoulder as she passed. Reminder or threat? Judge asked gently if she saw Dad sign. Hands trembling. Mom looked between Marcus, me, and Judge. I was there. Victor brought the paper. He said Thomas wanted to sign. Cross-examination. Dad barely conscious. Marcus held his hand, guided it. Courtroom erupted. Victor moved his hand. Mom said finally, voice cracking. He used him like a puppet while dying. Told me if I didn't agree, Sophia would throw me out. Order restored. Harold introduced forensic analysis, proving tracing, not natural writing. Then workshop documents, all in Dad's hand, anticipating this. Judge questioned Marcus. Explain Trace's signature on dying man's document? Mass cracked. I was helping my wife secure her future. Brennan tried salvage. Even if invalid. Marcus invested in improvements. Harold countered with photos. Destroyed historical features, violating preservation rules. Diminishing value. Judge ruled swiftly. Codicil fraudulent. Original will stands. Marcus ordered to vacate within 14 days. Matter referred for criminal fraud charges. Gavel fell. Chaos. Marcus shouted. Face purple. Mistake. That woman is confused. Contempt warning. Facade shattered. Ungrateful brat. Your mother needed me. House was falling apart. Mom's voice cut through stronger than months prior. The house was perfect. You destroyed everything Thomas built. Bailiff escorted Marcus out amid his threats. Restraining order issued. Outside. Surreal apologies from neighbors who'd believed lies. Mrs. Patterson hugged me. Should have known better. Mom collapsed into my arms sobbing. He twisted everything. After a while, I couldn't tell real from his words. We'll restore it all, I promised. Mike nodded. Crew ready? No charge. Honor for Thomas. 3 days later. Marcus's truck loaded haphazardly. Brooke live-streamed injustice. Marcus paused, carrying cheap replacements. Sentiment doesn't pay bills. This house will bankrupt you. Dad built a legacy, I replied. You tried stealing what love created. Silence heavier than threats. They left. Mom and I cataloged damage, ripped fixtures, painted wallpaper, scarred workbench. Workshop bones remained. We can fix this, I said. Hand on familiar wood. Dad's notes. Suppliers. Techniques intact. Mom picked up his hammer. I need help. It's how I apologize. DA pressed charges. Forgery. Fraud. Elder abuse. Marcus faced prison. His firm lost clients. Kids faced backlash. Assigned community service on habitat projects, poetic rebuilding what was torn down. Newspaper featured Dad's video. Forged documents. Story resonated. Not just property, but preservation. Courage against exploitation. Restoration began. Crew returned. Living room cabinets first. Dovetail joints remade to Dad's specs. Wallpaper specialist from Seattle volunteered services after hearing tale. Clawfoot tub sourced again from same yard. Grants and volunteers from Historical Society poured in. Room by room. House revived. Mom moved back after restoring her spaces. Looking herself again. Strong woman beside Dad for decades. 6 months later. Workshop hummed with sawdust and varnish. Last joint fitted perfectly. Mike, your dad would be proud. Through window. Mom planted heirloom roses Dad loved. House breathed again. Historical features honored. I found unsent letters under floorboard. Thoughts on craftsmanship. Pride in our work together. One stood out. The house isn't the legacy, you are. Skills taught. Moments building. Lessons on doing right. You're keeper of what matters most. Doorbell, Harold with news. Marcus sentenced to 3 years plus restitution. Relief. Not triumph. Dinner in restored dining room. Crew. Harold. Mom. Neighbors. Fireplace mantel polished. Mom stood. Grief made me vulnerable. I let someone convince me forward meant erasing past. Sophia showed honoring means preserving what loved. Not destroying. Your father knew you were strong enough to fight. Skilled enough to rebuild. That's real gift, not just house. But ability to restore what others abandon. Later. Alone in workshop. House not fully finished, but bones strong. Heart beating with hammers. Picked dad's chisel, grandfather's gift. Tomorrow. Crown molding corner joint awaited patience. Precision, challenge dad loved. Text from Marcus, pre-intake you won. But house your prison. Deleted. He never understood. House wasn't prison, testament. Every restored board choice to honor. Not erase, remember. Not forget. Dad's words echoed. Anyone can tear down. Takes love to restore what others gave up on. Workshop quiet. Old wood settling. History whispering in walls. Legacy lived in continuation, knowledge. Values. Community dad built. Daughter trained to protect. House stood wounded yet healing. Scarred yet beautiful, like those who loved it truly. No forgery could steal that. Some truths refuse burial. Some legacies demand fighting for. And in the end, love and foresight prevail over greed. The question lingers, when grief clouds judgment, how far will we go to protect what truly matters before it's too late? In Portland's quiet streets, Willowbrook Manor stands restored, not just wood and stone, but living proof that some things are worth every battle, every painstaking repair, every act of remembering.